What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the new top performing teams on Pvpoke for the Great League. As Great League has come back, we are in the final weeks, the final month of this season, so now is the time to climb. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this team, or maybe what other teams you guys would suggest to other battlers reading in the comments, as we want to help each other out, right? So let's go ahead and dive right in. If you guys don't know, I know a lot of you do, but we always got to talk about it. This is Pvpoke.com. This is the one-stop shop for everything Go Battle League that you guys need to know when it comes to movesets, rankings, team building, information, raw data. And today we're going to be going to the train section, to the top performers. This is a comprehensive analysis of the top performing Pokemon on the Pvpoke training battle system. You guys can find that here. If I was to go through it, you guys could battle against an AI or a bot basically on Pvpoke to practice, and that is where these top performing teams and top performing Pokemon are coming from. So there's going to be some new teams here that you may have not seen before. Maybe you have, but let's go ahead and dive right in. First one, Sableye, Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and Shadow Venusaur. This is a very interesting team. Now, one thing I also want to mention here, you guys may be seeing this, I wouldn't pay too much attention to the ratings right here. This is just an overhead view. What you want to pay attention to is the X's and O's right here. X means that Sableye beats Medicham, obviously, and an O, or a big O like that, means Medicham beats Alolan Sandslash. That's how you want to look through this. And as you can see, this team has very good coverage against the meta that we do see, and this is including Clodsire, taking into account it coming into Go Battle League, because depending on when you watch this, for me it's going to be tomorrow. It's having Community Day, so hopefully you guys got that. Please get it if you haven't. But we can also scroll down and take a look at potential threats. So things you need to look out for on this team: Walrein, Umbreon, Lickitung. Those are going to be, actually you wouldn't really see Lickitung. Probably Walrein and Umbreon are going to be the two core breakers, potentially Umbreon being the biggest one. But with all the neutral damage that you can do, this team can potentially handle that. So it does look very interesting, very glassy. It will be interesting to see how it plays out, but overall a very strong looking team. All right, team number 2. This is an old one for those of you who have been around in Go Battle League for a long time. Defense Form Deoxys, Obstagoon, and Vigoroth. This is the triple counter no fighter team. I actually faced off against it, I believe, earlier this season. And I thought to myself, you know what, I think it might be a certain Pokemon in the back, because I saw 2 of these. Now, what's very interesting about this team is its coverages because of its typings, but it's also coverages with its fast move of counter. And with a meta heavy in Pokemon like Carbink, Lickitung, Registeel, Steelix, it can perform extremely well. Now, breaking this down, already looking here, it's going to struggle a little bit against Pokemon like Carbink, Clodsire, Mandibuzz, those 3, and Cresselia, just because of the neutral damage that they take, or resisted damage that they take from counter, which can be tough to overcome. And as you can see, there are quite a few core breakers right here as well, Carbink being the biggest one. Now, is this a team that is going to be running through the meta? You know, probably not. But it seems to be performing really well here on the Pvpoke simulations and battles, maybe because people are straying away from Carbink with Clodsire coming into the meta. That could be a play. Alright, moving into the next one, Alolan Ninetails, Defense Form Deoxys, and Lickitung. Alolan Ninetails, I think, is one of the most slept on Pokemon in this Great League meta this season, as it can do incredibly well. Think about a lot of the common Pokemon we are seeing. Superior, Medicham, some flyers out there, Gligar, right? All of those can get absolutely deleted by Alolan Ninetails. Now we see the moveset here. This is going to be a Charm variant. That is to help out because it is cored with, or has the pairing with Defense Form Deoxys. Which is going to help out against the Dark-type Pokemon. Now, some core breakers here, Carbink and Galarian Stunfisk. Obviously something tough to overcome, but Galarian Stunfisk can still take a lot of damage from Pokemon like Defense Form Deoxys and Lickitung. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And again, a lot of these teams seem to be weak to Carbink, and ultimately I think that might be because of the anticipation of Clodsire coming to the meta, which again, it's having a community day tomorrow. So overall, looks pretty strong. Does have some common core breakers, Superior, Galarian Stunfisk, and Carbink, but it can handle a lot of the rest of the meta. All right, moving into the next team, we have something with Carbink in it. It's going to be Pelipper, Carbink, and Sableye. An interesting ABA formation right here, depending on how you look at it. But Pelipper on the lead, hoping to really avoid Lanturns out there. But overall, a very strong team. As you guys can see, there's a lot more X's than the previous teams right here. But you do need to watch out for something like Registeel. Now, Registeel just kind of does very well against Carbink, especially if it's going to be rocking Flash Cannon, which some might because of the Clodsire coming into the meta. So watch out for that. But overall, Pelipper and Sableye can still handle a Registeel. Because of the neutral damage they can do with Shadow Claw, Foul Play, and Weather Ball. Looks like the core breakers here are going to be a lot more of the tankier Pokemon, so Registeel, Steelix, Superior, and Bastiodon. But that doesn't mean these Pokemon can't take them down. I imagine if you were to face off against some of these on the lead, you want to stay in with Pelipper and chip it away, and then probably come in with Sableye and load up on energy, because these leads, especially a Bastiodon, a Steelix, and a Registeel, are probably the hardest counter to a Carbink, and I think that's the play. This is an ABA kind of formation here. All right, moving into the next one, we have Gligar, Medicham, and Registeel. Doesn't get a lot more meta than this. I mean, it could potentially if you maybe exchange Registeel for Lickitung right there. But as you can see, the denser the meta, the stronger the coverage, right? So Gligar, Medicham, and Registeel. Gligar, if you guys aren't aware, maybe you've come back. Gligar has risen to the top of the Great League in terms of flyers because it got access to Dig, or not access to Dig. It got an update to Dig and an update to Aerial Ace, allowing it to be very viable and hyper meta, where it's basically replaced Noctowl in the meta, which has gained a rise to Pokemon like Frostlass, to Pokemon like Dugong, as that ice typing does double super effective, right? Now this team has to only watch out for a Talonflame and a Moltres. That alone, and even a Talonflame, right, still takes neutral damage or super effective depending on what you hit it with, right? Zap Cannon, Psychic, and Ice Punch, Aerial Ace right there, a lot of neutral damage. So this team actually has the best coverage so far that we have seen. So this might be something that's a bit more consistent and a bit more reliable if you're looking to something to learn and climb with over time. All right, moving into the next one, we have Sableye, Noctowl, and Swampert. So the return of Noctowl. And if you guys didn't know, Noctowl kind of got knocked down, actually because of the nerf to Sky Attack. It costs a little bit more energy, which means Noctowl takes longer to get to that charge move, which dramatically changes the matchups that it had before. So this is another kind of ABA team, depending on how you look at it. But ultimately, Sableye is looking to do a lot of neutral damage on the lead, play the gamble that you're probably not going to see a fairy in most situations, especially with how the meta is shaping out with Clodsire and Steels and all that jazz. So you're probably looking to stay in on the lead. If you lose lead somehow, like a soft lead loss, like Mandibuzz, for example, you get it low, right? You do those returns, and then you come in with something like Noctowl or Swampert, depending on what Pokemon it is, right? And load up on energy, and then look to sweep that way. Some things you got to watch out for. There's a lot of core breakers here, but this is kind of why it's an ABA team. A lot of flyers. So Mandibuzz, Pelipper, Alolan Ninetails with Charm is likely going to be a huge threat right there. And that's something you might have to swap out of, so you might need to go into Noctowl on safe swap if you see an Alolan Ninetales with Charm on the lead. And then Guzzlord, Greninja, Dragonair, Walrein. So there's a lot of, but these are all soft losses, right? These are soft circles, as you can see, comparing it, the hard circle right there. So definitely an ABA team, definitely a lot of coverage, and kind of bringing Noctowl back. And next team here is going to be, oh man, this one's thick. Lickitung, Bastiodon, and Medicham. Once again, an ABA team. These things are really coming to the top of the meta because of just the transition from ABAs to from ABBs to ABAs. Because there's so many strong neutral matchups that we currently have, and Lickitung is one of those Pokemon where you could just leave it on the lead, do as much neutral damage as possible, especially if it's something like a Medicham on the lead. You can still do well in that matchup, potentially get yourself shield advantage, and then come in with Medicham, load up on energy, and let Bastiodon do its thing, because likely all the hardest counters to Bastiodon are either against the Lickitung on the lead, or your Medicham might be able to align to it if you have the ABA formation right there. All right, moving into the next one, we have Carbink. It's another one, another ABA team, Carbink, Lickitung, and Medicham. Once again, we're probably going to see if you face off against something like Clodsire on the lead, you're probably going to have to safe swap out. As you can see right there, Clodsire is a fantastic counter. I should scroll down a little bit. Clodsire is a fantastic counter here to Carbink. So you have two good answers in the back. Lickitung would probably be the safe swap in that situation. But yeah, overall, pretty strong team. And considering it's ABA, it's got incredible coverage. And the only things you got to watch out for are Superior, Toxapex, and another Carbink, which you could totally handle with this team against these core breakers right here because of the moveset. So that one's actually looking pretty interesting. And then we're going to talk about this final one here. It's actually the exact same team, so we're not going to talk about that. Lickitung, Bastiodon, Medicham. There's just another one. There's two of them. We're talking about Alolan, Sandslash, Gligar, and Medicham. This has been a team that I've seen very often in the Great League meta. It used to be Alolan, Sandslash, Medicham, and Azumarill was the team that we've seen before, but Gligar has kind of replaced Azumarill, and that is likely due to the amount of superiors that kind of risen to the top, and Shadow Venusaurs as well that have come really into the meta. And especially with Clodsire coming, right, having that dig coverage, the resistance to poison type moves, it's going to be very beneficial to you. Medicham here can act as that safe swap because Gligar is going to have a tough time against Dugongs and whatnot if it safe swaps against it. As we can see, core breakers as well. Going to be stuff like Sableye, Tapu Fini, Charizard, Bombardier, Talonflame, Ho-Oh, Moltres, but the three big ones that you're going to see a lot of is these three, Sableye, Tapu Fini, and Charizard, which this team can handle if you think about the neutral damage that you can do, especially with Alolan Sandslash, even though I know Charizard, but they typically run Wing Attack as the fast move, so you can still Shadow Claw. This might be a Powder Snow variant as well. Let's see. No, it's going to be a Shadow Claw variant. Powder Snows, I have seen before. Some of you may agree with me down in the comments. Powder Snow is really kind of picking up traction because of how many Lickitungs are out there. And the Powder Snow does very well in that matchup against Lickitung instead of the Shadow Claw, which would be resisted otherwise. And now with Clodsire as well, with that ground typing, you might want to transition to a Powder Snow, Alolan Sandslash, or just have a second one built, which would be a bit more ideal. So yes, those are the top performing teams this weekend on Pvpoke. You guys can come here and check them out yourselves. Again, it is under the train section, top performers. You can also change it by league if you guys are curious about the other leagues, Ultra League, Master League. I typically don't talk about Master League, but you guys can see this right here and kind of get some ideas for strong Pokemon to build. And for anyone who stuck around to the end, I appreciate it. If you're new to Go Battle League, be sure to check out rankings as well. This is where you can see the strongest Pokemon in the meta, and I was talking about Gligar has risen to the top. As you can see, it definitely has Medicham, Carbink, Lickitung are still up there. But you can change it by league, you can change it by meta, you can change it by leads, closers, switches, all this kind of stuff. Stat, product, attack, like what has the highest attack in the Great League, it's going to be a Kartana. But that doesn't mean, and a Sharpedo. but that means they go down real quick, you know, because they don't have much defense. If we go overall defense, you'll see that Carbink and Bastiodon are there. If we go overall stamina, you're going to see Chansey and Wobbuffet. You don't want to see those, I'm telling you. That is just the worst. But overall, very strong Pokemon that you guys can invest in for the Great League. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.